Welcome to Tales from the Trenches Tuesdays. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to have Delphine Hasle with us. Just a little bit about Delphine. So Delphine is a skilled fundraising and donor relations professional. She's been creating opportunities for donors to support the Perley Health since 2013. She is now the executive director of Perley Health Foundation, where her passion is healthcare fundraising, focusing on seniors' care. Delphine is a certified fundraising executive and holds a certificate in fundraising management from Algonquin College. In an earlier life, she received a Master of Science in Oceanography from Florida Tech. She always wanted to save the planet. Delphine is fluently bilingual, French and English. Before working at Perley Health, Delphine was working as a communication and fundraising specialist at Care4 Health and Community Services and Director of Outreach at Ottawa Riverkeeper. So welcome, Delphine. I'm sure that people call you as they do me and say, Delphine, I'm thinking about going into the wonderful world of fundraising. So kind of tell me, what kind of things would you be looking for if you were hiring a development officer?
Someone who's a good listener, who's patient, and is passionate. I'm one of those fundraisers. I could not walk everywhere. I need to believe in the cause that I'm actually fundraising for. And that makes a huge difference for me too. And that's what I'm looking for, because I feel the donor will know, right? Someone who's just pushing paper or not. And it's not sale. We're not selling anything. We're inspiring. We're a matchmaker. We're working almost more for the donors than our organization in some ways, right? To be successful, that's the way it has to be. So someone who likes to be around people. But, I don't think that if you're introverted, you cannot be a good fundraiser. Actually, you can be a great fundraiser because you're going to be a great listener. So it's not those skills, but it's really having and be curious.
Definitely. I always say that, I hire for attitude and you can teach aptitude, right? So you can teach people the technical side of it, but I can't teach someone how to be a good person or how to be a good listener or, how to be compassionate. Either they have it or they don't. Mm-hmm. So for those who are listening, they're probably scratching their head and say, wow, she doesn't sound like she grew up in Florida where, she did the oceanography. And, the fact is you grew up in Europe and I want to look at some of the differences or similarities. Mm-hmm. Like, how was philanthropy spoken about in your household when you were growing up?
So we were not really talking about it. And philanthropy, it's always seen as it's only for the ultra rich. And it was not something that everyone were doing. And yet we were generous, like as a child, I was had to give part of my allowance to something. And I was sponsoring a child in Africa and I was writing letter and they were writing back to me with "Dear Delphine." And I'm like, oh, now I know how it works behind the scene, but I was very impressed with their direct mail program. But I was doing that, and my mom was very generous, and she was really into impact. So for her thing was homeless woman, but she will go directly to those women and will help them and will share a meal and those kind of things. So that's how it was, but never as a big, so I'm from France, and we don't even give at church. Like, that's not even part of the culture. Wow. So it's very different.
So then, you grew up with one type of household and talking about philanthropy. Is it different now at your house in Ottawa?
I think I speak a lot about the impact and how it's different, and the things that we can have access because of the support of the community. So I think we talked a lot about that. And we are very fortunate, so it's really important for my children to understand that not everyone is as lucky as us, and we can make a difference also. We can give back. And so we have those conversations for sure.
If you were to kind of look at that crystal ball and say, fundraising has kind of been evolving as time goes on, and let's fast forward like a generation from now, like 20 years from now, what do you think fundraising is going to look like?
I think it's going to be even more professionalized in some way. That
right.
It just because the needs are going to be greater. Right. Like the need in the community is increasing, the money from the government is not. So we are the community is going to respond to those needs. If not, I think we're too generous and we want too much, especially in Canada, where we want a better world. That's our common value. I really believe that. So that means fundraising is here to stay, but it's going to be more and more, it's going to be more professional and more organized. Like right now, there is too many charities. Many of them are still doing the same thing. So we have to be more strategic,
right,
and more transparent in the sense that to demonstrate impact, and our donors are going to see that, and that's where we're going to see the difference between organized, professionalized fundraising shop and the one who wants to do good but don't have the science behind it, right? Because fundraising is really art and science. If you cannot teach the art, but the science, if you don't have it, you're not going to be successful.
Right.
And so that's why I really believe that it's going to change. And I think our professional association actually have a bigger role to play in that.
Yeah. And do you think that the roles of volunteers are going to change, or do you think they're going to still kind of stay on board? One of my biggest challenges that I had in many organizations were board members were there to do a governance board, right? And not necessarily to fundraise. So a lot of times they figure, okay, we're going to hire a rainmaker or, do whatever, and they're going to bring in the funds, where at the end of the day, it's actually ultimately the board's responsibility to make sure that there's enough money in the bank for you to run your mission.
Yeah. And the volunteer have a huge role to play, and that's here to stay, because fundraising, like we said all the time, people give to people, and I don't have relationship with everyone in the city, but I can have 10 relationship with 10 volunteers that will have 10 relationship, and that's how we can get to the right people. So they have to play that role. We cannot, like, you can have the rock star fundraiser in your shop, but people give to people. Someone needs to open that door. I can have the difficult conversation. I'm not afraid to ask. I can inspire you. I can do all that. But it all becomes with a relationship. And that's where the volunteer plays a huge role.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Thank you. Delphine, it was an absolute pleasure to chat with you. If folks wanted to get hold of you, how would they go about doing that?
They can reach me by email at dhasle@perleyhealth.ca, or
Beautiful.
go to the website perleyhealth.ca. They will find me there.
Great. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Hi folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button right here.